Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I would like to welcome you all for our today's video entitled with Developing a Good Research Question. Just like in a bit introduction, I'm Jinia Khan and I'm a pharmacist and working as a teaching assistant in Kurdistan region of Iraq. To begin with, I just would like to mention, just like in the beginning, why it's important to talk about this topic in this video. Because as we know, it's prevalent at some point during your degree. You'll be required to create your own research question, or probably for a research study that you intend to publish. So for that reason, we have a table of the contents, which includes what's the research question itself, where do research questions come from, elements of the research questions, as I believe this one is a key slide to consider, and types of the research questions, how to develop a good research question, characteristics of a good research questions, last but not least, criteria to evaluate your research question at the end. So I would love to start with this question, which is about what's the research question. Definitely, research question is a question that a study or research project aims to answer. So basically, we can say this question often addresses an issue or a problem which through analysis and interpretation of data is answered in the study's conclusion, and also outlines the task that you will need to complete. So that's just like a basic definition of the research question. So if we are going to talk about where do research questions come from, we can definitely say topic of interest, which is one of the crucial way that we can consider to say that and also formulate the research question for our study, as well as the literature review, input from mentors, commitment, and enthusiasm. So the topic of the interest, as I mentioned, is one of the most important things, and based on the literature review, we can decide that which topic that we are mostly interested in, and then narrowing down to a specific question or scope that we want to highlight. So research questions, along with a hypothesis, also serve as a guideline framework for research. So these questions also specifically reveal the boundaries of the study, setting its limits and definitely ensuring cohesion. So literature review definitely is about the latest development or a gap in knowledge and pointers of the controversy. So it's really important to consider, based on your literature review on the different published articles, we can see, or we can know that what's the latest or the earliest gap that we have in the literature. So I'm just repeating this again. Topic of the interest is the first one. Then we have the gaps and the latest development that we can know through the literature review, as well as inputs from mentors. The mentor can be someone that really expertise, committed to your success, or approachable and available, definitely. Because you know that your mentor, your supervisor, definitely they realize and recognize your abilities better than yourself, probably in the most of the times. And the last but not least, we have the commitment and enthusiasm, which means that manage the challenges and fuel endurance. That's why I said topic of the interest is the first one, because if you are just interested in a subject, you will definitely do your best to manage the challenges or the boundaries that you are going to face to overcome them in the easiest way as possible. So now it's time to talk about the elements of the research question, which includes these three key variables that we need to consider, which is the predictor, outcome, and the last one is the study population. What are them I'm going to point out. An independent variable, definitely I'm going to talk about the predictor, which is an independent variable, sometimes called an experimental or predictor variable as well, which is being manipulated in an experiment in order to observe or discover the effect of an dependent variable, sometimes called an outcome variable. So that was about predictor, which is independent variable itself, and based on this you can try to find the predictor effect on a specific outcome, which is the outcome in the most of the cases is the dependent variable. And also study population, a group that considered for a study or a statistical reasoning. The study population is not limited to the human population, definitely, just remain, or let's say bear in mind. It's a set of aspects that have something in common, and also they can be like animals, objectives, measurements, etc. So it's about the elements of the research question. So let's take a look on these examples. The first one saying, does the predictor cause the outcome among the study population? So that's what I meant. I mean at the beginning. The predictor, just trying to evaluate the predictor effect on a specific outcome among what? Among a certain population or among a certain group of subjects or animals. So, or we can say, is the predictor associated with the outcome among the study population? So, it's just like this one is a base, like in a basic structure of the establishing a research question. So, what we have right now, we have the types of the research questions. To try our best to establish a good research question, also we need to understand the different types of the research questions that we have. For example, research questions can be classified into different categories depending on the type of the research to be done. So what we have, the first one is quantitative research question, which is usually seek to understand particular social, familiar, or educational experiences or processes, which moreover, these questions are not answerable with the yes or no responses. So just bear in mind that quantitative research question is not the type of the questions, are not the type of the questions that are answering with a yes or no. So as a result, quantitative research questions does not use words such as is, are, do, or even does. It's not just like a fixed criteria to consider, but in most of the cases, they are not going to consider these questioning words like what we mentioned. So also, this type of the research question can be further categorized into three types, which is known as descriptive, comparative, and relationship. So just like in a brief definition for them, I'm going to talk about this. So the descriptive research questions aim to measure the responses of a study's population to one or more variables, or even describe the variables that the research will measure. So these questions typically begin with what. Also, comparative research questions have the goal of discovering the differences between two or more groups for an outcome variable. And the last one, which is a relationship research question, seek to explore and define trends and interactions between two or more variables, which this research question design often includes both dependent and independent as well variables, to use the words such as association or trends. And the second type that we have is the qualitative research question, which is studies, this type of the studies using these questions generally aim to discover or explain or even explore something. And the last one that we have, the third type is mixed methods, which typically require a set of both quantitative and qualitative research questions. Just will be like in a mixture of the both of the two above mentioned research questions that they are going to use, and then will be featured like a mixed methods. Now we understood that what's research question, the types of the research questions, and the elements of the research questions. So now it's time to develop a good and ideal research question for the study. So before learning how to write a research paper, you must first learn how to create a research question. Because creating a research question can be a tricky process, but there's a specific method you can follow to facilitate the process. And bear in mind your research question be relevant, decided, and as well as be meaningful. So think about a broad and interested topic at the beginning of the process, because a broad topic provides plenty of avenues to explore in their search for a viable research question. And when searching for a topic, it's wise to really choose an area of the study that you are genuinely interested in, since your interest in a topic will affect your motivation levels throughout your whole process or throughout the journey. So that's really important to be interested. And the second one you can do is do research about the topical issues. So this one is the initial stage, which is first one is allow you to discover issues that are currently being discussed by scholars and fellow researchers, and also allow you to spot existing gaps or limitations in existing knowledge of your topic, because you know that the research papers is about doing something really novel to talk about or to even do a study on it. So it's really important to talk about the gaps and the limitation that in a certain topic that we have. Then the last step that you can consider is narrow down your topic and select a research question. But how? Definitely, once you have gathered enough knowledge on the topic you want to pursue, you can start focusing on a more specific area of the study, and also narrowing down for a specific question. And definitely, one option is to focus on gaps in existing knowledge or recent literatures. Just please keep this one in your mind. Similarly, researchers can choose research questions that extend or complement the findings of the existing literature. That's what we are talking about, and highlighted the importance of how the literature review about your topic of interest will influence the whole process to develop a really good research question. So now what we have the characteristics of the good research question. First of all, the research question should be in the form of the question, as it is named, not should be in a form of the sentence or just like in a simple statement. It should be phrased as a question. The second one, you need to be clearly mention what you want to implement and what will be your result. That's really important, so please be obvious and be clear enough to detect this. And the third one is succinct, which is really meant to be not to just divert case or just, I mean, giving more detail, really a huge detail to the question that you want to consider. So please be summarized and succinct in this concern. And the last one is a focus. Definitely you need to be focused, as we mentioned in the beginning, that we need to be specific, be focused, be concentrated on the question that you want to discover. So now it's time to talk about the criteria to evaluate your research question. So what we have, definitely using a set of criteria known as the FINER. This one is really important, that criteria to find out if you have a good research question or you need to just rephrase it again and work again on to make a good one. So what we have, FINER stands for what? Stands the first letter is F, which stands for the feasible. What's mean by this? Should be answerable with available resources. So a good research question definitely should be feasible, which means that the question is well within the researcher's ability to investigate. Researchers should be realistic, definitely, about the scale of their research, as well as their ability to collect data and complete the whole process. The whole research process with their skills and their resources available to them. So that's the first criteria you need to consider during establishing a research question. So the second letter, which is I, stands for interesting. I believe that we mentioned this really in detail, but definitely the ideal research question is interesting, not only to the researcher but also to the peers and community as well. That's why I mentioned this before in the last slide. And also this interest boosts the researcher's motivation to see the question answered, because sometimes during the research journey you'll face some obstacles and boundaries that make you to be demoralized. So by working on something really interesting, or a topic that you're really interested in, is definitely boost your motivation level. So the letter N stands for the novel, new approach, which is here what we mean. Your research question should be developing to bring new insights to the field of the study you are investigating, definitely, and the question may confirm or extend previous findings of the topic that you are reaching. For instance, it does not necessary to always be something that only investigating by yourself, but you can also extend the previous point that discovered by the other researchers, that you can elaborate more on working on this to find more things about this. So it's also called novelty. Definitely we have this one, which is called ethical, which is should be compatible with the guidelines, and clearly can say that must be compatible, not even only should. So this one is the most significant considerations of making a research question, because your research question and your subsequent study must be something that review boards and the appropriate authorities will approve. Otherwise, will be rejected, definitely. And hope you all just consider this part or this criteria very well. So the last one is relevant. Will be something that the research question should be relevant to the scientific community and even the people involved in your area of the study.